Hi, so in today's video I'm going to be giving a character some lives. I'm also going to be showing some hazards where they can lose those lives, and also when the character has no lives left we're going to have some sort of game over screen. So let's begin. So we're on a new project, so if you just click on here you can give your project a new name. I've gone for a viewport size of this. You can of course use whatever size you want. So let's start by adding something into the layout. So I'm just going to double tap. I'm going to type in here sprite. You can of course scroll down and find this. And I'm just going to call him player. And let's go for a blue. Go for a darker colour. You can of course use a much nicer picture for your character. I'm just going to do something really fast. Let's have about that sort of shape. And let's add some grass in. So again we can just scroll down, try and find sprite. And I'm going to call it grass. If you want to rename it, all you do is just click here, right click and go on rename. Or you can come up to here and rename it that way. Just gonna get a rough kind of shape. Probably shouldn't have used a sprite. I think a tile would be better. As you can see, we get this sort of blurry effect here. If you do want to get rid of that, use tiles, or if you want to use sprites, make sure that this size, so we've got a size here, 575 by 32. Just make sure that is the same whatever you put in here. But anyway, I'm just going to do it as fast as I can, so I'm not worried about making it look good. So this is our player, so click on there, give him a behaviour. And we want to search for the platform behaviour. And the grass, we want to have that to be solid so that the player doesn't fall through. So let's just show you what we have at the moment. So we just got a rectangle that can move around, nothing exciting yet. And let's create a bit more of the scene. So we do want to have some spikes, don't we? So search for a sprite. Call it spike. Let's go yellow. You can of course draw something with the tools, get a nice sort of triangle shape, but I'm just going to be lazy. Okay, in fact let's just change the angle, make it look a bit more like a spike at least. And let's click on there, right click, Z order, centre bottom of layer. That'll just hide it at the back there. At least we've got something that resembles a spike at least. And let's have a lava pit as well. So I'll call it lava. I'm going to colour this in red. Or reddish colour. And to copy this we can just right click, just click on it, Control C, Control V, or an even faster way of copying is just to click on it, hold the Control button down on your keyboard and just drag it across the screen. And you can do this as many as you want. Very fast way of copying things. Let's just put this over here. This here perhaps. And got a bit of lava there. Okay, so the lava, we haven't got a solid behaviour, it's got no behaviours on that one. So all of these, when you're copying it, you copy the behaviours as well. So you don't need to keep adding those in. Okay, and let's add a few platforms. If you've already got your scene ready, you can of course skip ahead in the video and add some interesting things in, I guess. Okay, so we also need some text as well. So just typing it in, and I'm going to call this life text. Call it lives, actually. You can of course rename whatever you want it to be. Bring that in a bit. Let's add another bit of text. This time I'm going to call it lives number. And let's go with the number 3. Okay, so again, I'm not going to neaten things up, I'm just going to get something quick and running for you to sort of show you how to do things. So what I want to show happening is the player will run across here, lose a life on the spike, and this should hopefully go down. Obviously we need to set it up into the event sheet, so let's go over there now. So right click, add global variable. I'm going to call it lives GV, something I like to do, GV for global variable. And I'm going to give the initial value a 3 because we want to have 3 lives. And start of layout, so system on start a layout, and I like to set the global variables to their sort of default values. We also need to say that system every tick. So every tick is just like pretty much every 60th of a second, or you know, it's pretty much constant. We want to set this lives number, set text, and we want to delete these quotation marks. We want to set it to the global variable, so you can click onto this list or type it out, it's up to you. I'm just going to double click and click on done. So this will set this text to the global variable here, and we need to say that the player is, when he's overlapping another object, choose the object being a spike. We want to go on system, subtract from, so we want to take 1 off this global variable. Now this won't look very good, it's not actually going to work very good at all. I'll show you why. So that's not exactly what we want to happen. We just want to have 1 come off and a bit of a break, and then we'll take another 1 off after a little while. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. And I think what we need to have is a little bit of period of time where he's actually invincible. So let's create another global variable, so we can either right click over here, or I like to just go Control C and V and then just rename it from here. Just going to call it invincible GV. And I'm going to start the initial value at 0. You can add a description here, I'll just add 1 for the sake of it. So 0 is going to be vulnerable, and if it's 1, I want him to be invincible. Okay, not something you have to do. This is just a note just for myself so that I know what the values mean. So I need to say set. So when he's gone to the spike, we need him to become invincible. But we do need this to have the condition where he's vulnerable. So what will happen now is, if this is true, so when he's vulnerable and he's overlapping a spike, we'll take one off. He'll then become invincible. So now that this is 1, this will no longer apply. I'll just show you that. So I keep going there, don't I? So as you can see, if we go over again, it's not taking any more off because he's just staying invincible. So we do need to take him back into a vulnerable state. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show that he's invincible by the character is going to flash. So let's go into the layout and we'll add another behavior. And we want to have this one over here, flash. And if we go back to the event sheet, we then want to say player, type in flash. And I'm just going to leave it as the default. You can of course have longer or shorter, whatever you want to have there. And then when he's flashing, so player on flash ended, we need to say set this one to 0. So system set value invincible GV to 0. So then when the flashing is ending, this condition will come true again and he can then lose some lives. So let's just move some things around a bit. So we go over, and that's working a lot better now. But as you can see, it goes into the negative values, which we don't want to have that happen. So let's just add another condition. So we'll say if lives is greater than 0. You can, if he's got more than 0 lives, we can subtract 1 from it. So there we go. And as you can see, no, it doesn't go into the minus numbers now. And I'm just going to actually organise things, so I'm just going to right click, add comment. You don't have to do this. This is just keep things a bit tidier in my head at least. Start stuff. Let's have lives. So there we go. And because I do like to keep at the start of the layout, keeping the global variables to the defaults. Let's just do the same with invincible. Set that to that. And I would like to add a keyboard as well, so that when we restart the level, when we've lost all the lives, we can start again. So let's add the keyboard plugin. And if we go on add event, so keyboard on key pressed, and let's just press R and done. And I'm going to add the action system and just type in the search bar so I can find it. I want to go on layout, restart layout. So when we press R on our keyboard, it'll just start the layout again. So to show you what that looks like. So we can be up here, and if we press R, we'll return back to the start position. If we lose a life, press R, you see that the lives have come back and we're back in the starting position again. So a little bit better each time. Now we do need to think about the lava, don't we? So let's go on player, overlap, lava, and this time I don't want the player to just lose one life. I want them to just be dead no matter how many lives they have, just an instant death. So to do this, we're just going to go system, subtract. Now we could just go 3, but that will not be a very good solution, I don't think. Or we can even go 3000. But I think a better solution would just be to type in the same the same value as the global variable. So whatever this will be, it'll subtract from there, and then it'll be 0. We also what else do we need to do? We need to have the def, the game over screen. So sort that out. In fact, let's have a little look at how things are going with the lava first. So go over and straight to 0. We lose 1 life there, straight to 0. Okay. So when it's 0, we need it to have some sort of game over event. So let's go back into the layout and add some text. We'll call it game over. Let's make it nice and big. And we may need to resize the box. Let's go for a red, shall we? And I'm going to center everything. There we go. But we do want it off the layout. We only want it to appear when the value is 0. So let's say at the start of the layout, game over, set position, and we can put a number. Let's go for -200. So if you don't know where that will take it, if you just click on here, you can see that the coordinates are over here. So this corner of the screen is 0, 0, goes into the negative values, so it takes it right off the screen. Over here, this is where the mouse coordinates are. And if we click on an object, you can see the positions of each individual thing here. Okay, so that'll take it way off the screen, so we don't have to worry about it at the start. And then when it does equal 0, so let's sort that out. So system, compare variable, so when this is equal to 0, game over, set position, and let's go for 30. So you can always see what that looks like. So yeah, I think that'll be fine. You can always play around with whatever value you want. So let's just pop that anywhere up there. And let's have a little look at what that looks like. So go over here, flash, and that comes on there, but we can still move around. Doesn't feel like a game over, so let's sort that out. So when it's 0, we want to say player, search for platform, where it says set enabled, we want to put this onto disabled. So now when it's game over, you can't move to the left or right, or you can't jump or anything like that. So yeah, I think that might be done there, but let's add another hazard in, shall we? Let's add an enemy. I'm just going to make it pink. Let's put this one up here. And let's give them, to make them move side to side, let's give them the sign behavior. Just close that down. If we just preview it, yeah, that's a little bit too far. Take it to 30. That's better. Let's go to 20. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so we've got an enemy that's moving around. Let's make it so that you'll lose a life if you're overlapping the enemy. So player. So just like how we did with the spike. You can do all this. I think I might just do it a quicker way. So let's just Control C, Control V, press R, click on the spike and replace it with the enemy. So yeah, that's looking good. I'll just get rid of this. Okay, so got spike, an enemy and some lava. That's looking good. Well, our player does go off the screen, which isn't very good. And if we go this way, the camera doesn't follow where we are as well. So I'll just fix those real quick just to make it look a bit nicer. So let's add a behavior. Let's search for the scroll to. So this will make it so the camera is always following the player. This isn't the best technique, to be honest. You might be better creating a new sprite and then having that as the camera and then only moving it on the x-axis and then having that following the player. But I'm just going to keep things simple, just have something that works, and you can always improve on things later on. And we also need to have the bound to layout. This is going to stop the player from leaving the screen view. Just keeps it a lot better. So let's just have a little look at what that looks like. So as you can see, we can't go this way. We're still stuck in the screen, which is how we want it. And we can lose life. We can go across here now. But as you can see, the text when we over here, the lives are still stuck in the corner, so I'm going to fix that now. And also if we die, the game over screen, that's stuck at the top as well. We do need to see those. So we need to go over here and just gonna right click, insert layer above, and where it says parallax, we just want to type in 0 times 0. Press enter. And what this will do is it'll mean that the screen is not going to scroll on this layer 1. So what we see in the screen here, that's what's going to just stay there in place. So we need to add this onto layer 1 now. And same with this one. And same with this one. If we press play now, you can see that our lives are in the top left corner. And it doesn't matter where we go on the screen, but it stays in place. And the game over is there as well. So that's looking excellent. Now, if you don't want to have the game over screen just text here, maybe you want to have something taken away from this layout and onto another one, we've got another option. So you can go, in fact I'll just delete the, I'll just go on toggle disabled. You can of course delete this. And just go ahead and do this sort of thing. So we can go compare variable lives is equal to 0. We can also, in fact I'm going to rename these. I'm not sure why I haven't done that yet. Just going to call it level 1. Rename the events to level 1 events. So over here, note on this one, right click, add layout, add event sheet. I'm just going to call it game over. And the event sheet, I'm going to call it game over events. Okay, so this game over screen, we can do something fancy. Call it black. Can of course do some nice graphics and things. I'm just going to keep it super simple. And let's add some text. Call it white game over. So I would recommend doing it in camel case as well, the text, just so that it's a bit easier to read. Let's change the colour to white. Press enter. Make it nice and big. And call it game over. And if it's going behind here, just right click, Z order, send to top of layer. And that'll keep it on top. So you can do something a lot nicer than this. This is just to sort of show you another way of doing a game over screen. So when it equals 0, we can say system, and we want to go to layout, game over. So if I just delete that, so this is what's going to happen now. So we can lose life here, lose life there, and lose life there, and we're on a game over screen. Now you do want to have some way of getting back to the game, so on your game over screen here, let's add a button. So let's go sprite. So let's call it restart. screen. And let's create some text. And obviously, you know, you do things much nicer than this. This is very much a bare bones kind of project, really. So what we need to say, so if we just double click over here, so we do need the touch plugin. So if we just go back onto the layout screen and type in touch and click on there and insert. So when we go touch on tap object, this button, let's go on system, go to layout, and we'll go to level 1. Okay, so that's much better. Another thing I'll just show you how that works first of all. So we jump into there, and it's game over. We can click on here, and we're back to level 1 again. Of course, we need to have an objective as well. We may want to add another level, perhaps have a, you know, if you're overlapping a doorway, perhaps you could move on to level 2 and create some more hazards and things. Also worth noting is this is very important. So we've got level 1 here. If you find you've got something like this, so game over, it's at the top, you do want to drag that down at the bottom, because whatever you have at the top, that's the first thing that's going to load up on your game. That's the first layout that people will see. Yeah, I think I've kind of covered the basics there. There are probably numerous ways of doing game over screens, but I think this was going to be a good start, and hopefully it'll help you all out. Alright, so thank you for watching and enjoy your evening.